The Murderer of Shauna Tiaffay, a story of betrayal in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is often called the city that never sleeps, a place of bright lights, casinos, and endless distractions. But in late September 2012, the city awoke to a crime so brutal and shocking that it sent waves of fear and sorrow through the community. According to reports, 46-year-old Shauna Tiaffay was found inside her Summerlin apartment, brutally murdered. Shauna was well known to many, a cocktail waitress at the Palms Casino Hotel, a loving mother, and someone her friends described as lively and devoted to her family. Authorities later revealed that she had been beaten repeatedly with a hammer. Her broken fingers suggested she had fought back, struggling for her life in her final moments. At first, detectives were left puzzled. There were no clear signs of forced entry, which raised disturbing questions. Did Shauna know her killer? Did the attacker have access to her home? Very quickly, suspicion began to turn toward her estranged husband, George Miguel Tiaffay. George wasn't just anybody. He was a former Las Vegas firefighter, a graduate of West Point, and a man many once saw as disciplined and dependable. But behind the scenes, George and Shauna's marriage had unraveled. They were separated, and divorce seemed inevitable. According to prosecutors, George couldn't let go, and what unfolded next would reveal what authorities later described as a calculated and cold-blooded plan. Investigators alleged that George had recruited a homeless man named Noel Scott Greyhound Stevens. Reports say George befriended Stevens and promised him thousands of dollars to kill his wife. Surveillance footage allegedly captured George and Stevens together before the murder, purchasing gloves, dark clothing, a knife, and a hammer. Phone records, according to court testimony, showed nearly 90 calls between the two men in the weeks before the killing. When Stevens was arrested, he confessed. According to his testimony, George had offered him as much as $5,000, though Stevens claimed he received only $600. Investigators said they found incriminating evidence: a broken hammer, head, bloody clothing, and even a key to Shauna's apartment. Prosecutors argued this was proof of a conspiracy, but George's defense team pushed back. They claimed Stevens acted alone, suggesting that his confession was self-serving and unreliable. They painted a different picture: a man being blamed for something he hadn't done, caught up in the lies of someone trying to save himself. The courtroom became the stage for this bitter conflict. Jurors heard testimony about the couple's troubled marriage. They listened to prosecutors describe George as a man who had carefully plotted the murder, even allegedly considering what might happen if the hammer broke during the attack. On the other hand, the defense argued that George was innocent, a victim of circumstance, and that the real killer was Stevens. The emotional toll on Shauna's family was immense. Her loved ones sat in the courtroom, listening to the horrific details of her death. According to reports, family members remembered her as a dedicated mother whose world revolved around her daughter. They spoke of her kindness, her energy, and the devastating loss her death created. George's family, meanwhile, faced their own heartbreak. A once respected firefighter with no major criminal history, George's downfall stunned those who had known him. They struggled to reconcile the man they thought they knew with the man prosecutors portrayed in court. In September 2015, after hearing all the evidence, the jury delivered its verdict. George Tiaffay was found guilty of first-degree murder, as well as conspiracy, burglary, and robbery. According to sentencing records, he received life in prison without the possibility of parole, along with an additional 32 to 81 years for the related charges. Noel Stevens, the man who admitted to carrying out the attack, pleaded guilty in 2013. Court records show he faced at least 21 years in prison, with the possibility of more. For the Las Vegas community, the case was chilling. A firefighter, someone sworn to protect lives, had been accused and convicted of masterminding the murder of his own wife. The betrayal was almost too much to process. People spoke of locking their doors, of fearing what darkness might lurk even in seemingly safe neighborhoods. In the end, the story of Shauna Tiaffay became one of Las Vegas's most tragic and haunting murder cases. It was a story of love turned bitter, of trust shattered, and of a family forever broken. According to those who knew her, Shauna is remembered not for the way her life ended, but for the joy and love she brought to those around her. Her family continues to honor her memory, while the justice system ensured that those responsible, both George Tiaffay and Noel Stevens, faced the consequences of their actions.